Hey everybody, this is Andrew at AeroGrow. Welcome back. And today I have a tech tip that seriously, when I figured this one out, it changed the entire 3D printing game for me. And it just had to do with how to successfully and with some accuracy be able to tap some threads into these parts and be able to put some screws into them. Because with the AeroGrow system, even though it is based around a PVC tubing substructure, so there are lots of engineering opportunities to use that to your advantage where you simply wrap the piece around the PVC. That's great, but there were also a lot of places where I also needed to use screws. So for these metal bits that need to attach for the rollers on the positioning arm, to these thumb screws to use as positioners for the sliders and so forth. Lots of places where I needed to do that. So I needed a way of printing the part so that it was kind of pre-drilled, first of all, accurately, so that I could, even if I had to drill a little bit, I wouldn't have to drill much. So there wouldn't be a lot of struggling against the part. So if I could clear that hole out while printing, that would be ideal, and that's what I figured out how to do. Usually now what I'll do is, if I need to use a 5mm screw in the end, let's say, then I will make my hole, usually with PETG, 4mm wide in diameter. So that leaves about 1mm of play, and with that play, I have more than enough to cover my thread diameter on the screws, and it just allows me to go in with the tap and tap it right away. I don't have to pre-drill it. If I print it correctly, I don't have to pre-drill it. Now, your individual results may vary with that. You might find that you want to print the hole a little bit smaller, and then go ahead and drill it with the appropriate drill. Give yourself a nice clean hole to start with, and then tap that. That's another way to go. In my case, it wasn't necessary, but that's another way to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like when you tap a hole for one of these things. And this is just going to be a part that mounts right here. And actually, ultimately, do I have that sitting here? Well, no, I don't have the part that's going to screw to it available, but it's a part similar to this, and it's simply going to screw to the side of that. So I need a couple of holes to be tapped, and they're going to fit a 4mm screw ultimately. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to drill it and tap it, and then we're going to put the screw in, and I'll show you how that works. Now, one other thing I want to mention before I do that is the use of these brass, I call them, what do I call them? I call them nut certs usually. They're nut inserts, but they're made of brass, and they come in different sizes, and 4mm, 5mm, 6mm, and so forth. But the problem with these, that I found anyway, was that because my parts are so large, and because they're usually printed with about 15% infill, in the design part of the process, you had to be so careful to put the hole in a place where you were going to actually be able to melt this into some plastic, because that's what you do with these. You take a soldering iron, you put it on the plastic, put the soldering iron on it, and then wait for the heat to heat it up, and it slowly goes down into the plastic, and then when it gets to the point where you like it, you just pull the soldering iron out. There you go, cool it down. Now the problem with that, let me go into that for a second. I could make probably 5 videos out of this one topic. The problem with these is that when you heat it up, if you don't have enough plastic there to receive this, and it's just open space around it, then once this gets hot and it goes down into the hole, it melts the plastic around it, and everything starts to shift. So the hole, which looked great when it was just sitting there, now once you heat up this little bit and you put it in that hole, everything shifts around, your hole moves, the whole thing just falls apart. So if you're going to use, here's what I will say about this. This will be maybe not my final word on brass nut certs, but it'll be a pretty big word about them. Is if you're going to use them, that's fine, but be sure you're using them on a part that has a really high infill, like I'm guessing here, but let's say, I don't know, it depends on the part, but 60% or 70% or something really high enough that this size part will have some plastic to land on once it heats up and starts pushing into the part. So That's what I'll say about that. But if your infill is much lower, like I do with these large parts, 15% or so, you're much better off, in my opinion, just figuring out a way to either tap directly using just a standard tap. In this case, it's a 4mm tap, or drill, a combination of drilling and tapping, or a combination ultimately really of printing the hole and then maybe cleaning it up with a drill and then finally tapping it. It's up to you how much work you want to put into it. But in this case, we're going to go right in with the tap, and we're going very, very slow. There's no danger here. I've done this many times, but if you wanted to go full safety gear on this, you would obviously want some safety glasses. These are actually safety glasses. You would want to have this in a bench vise. I can't do that obviously here, but you'd want to have this mounted, right? And you want to come down at the hole from a very straight angle. You want to be as straight and 90 degrees perpendicular to it as possible. I've gotten a lot of practice at this, so I've gotten fairly good at it, but you just want to go very slowly, and you want to let the tap lead the travel through the part, right? So you don't want to push too hard, you don't want to pull back, you don't want to do that. You want to let it guide the travel through the hole, and you kind of get a feel for it after a while, right? Like anything. And the idea is that once you've tapped all the way through and you feel it kind of coming out the other side, you're going to reverse it and come back through and clean up the threads in reverse, right? And then you're going to go through clean one more time to clean them up. I'll show you. But you just start out really slowly, like this, just sort of tickle the trigger here. Just like this, just slight pressure. You can see the threads going in. I can feel them and see them. Yep, I can feel them through. All right, now I'm going to put it in reverse. I just switched it over to reverse. Now I'm just very gently, not pulling, not tugging, not doing anything other than just guiding the drill gently back out. I have 2 fingers on the drill, literally, very gentle. All right. Boom. Okay. Now, you're going to want to clean out all this stuff in here because that's going to clog the hole once we go through to clean it out again, right? So clean that, clean that. Then we're going to chase it. It's called chasing the threads, right? So we're going to go in again, very slowly again. A little quicker maybe. Now you have some threads already there to follow. Yep, good, good, that's great. Back it out. Okay, and yeah, we'll just do one now. I'll just demonstrate with this one. But okay, so now this is a, as I mentioned before, this is a 4mm metric 4mm thread screw here. Just goes right in there. There you go. That's it. That's all there is to it. So super easy. And it could be 4mm, 5mm. I wouldn't go smaller than about 4mm because really, I mean, well, in this case, I'm dealing with, what am I at? I'm at 0.6 millimeter. So I'm with really large kind of layer height or high layer height. I'm not getting super high accuracy with these holes. I mean, I guess if I were to go to a lot of trouble, print everything with a really high infill, 100%, I could go. You could go down to maybe 2 millimeter, maybe even smaller. But that's not the nature of what I'm doing here. I'm printing very large with a very high layer height, very strong parts, robust parts, but usually with a pretty low infill. So I needed a way of increasing the the repeatability of this process and the accuracy so that it could be more of a production process for workflow purposes. So that's how I do it here. I'm not saying it's the right way, it's just this way, the way we do it for the AeroGrow system. And yeah, I think if you decide to go just with avoiding the brass inserts, unless there's some reason you really, really need them, I don't think you do. Just jump right to the drill set and you're good to go. Now, one last thing I will mention is that the The drill tap is available actually as a single bit. You can get them. I've seen them on Etsy. They're available as a kit. It's a drill tap set, I think it is. But what it is basically is it's a drill bit where the end of it is drill bit, and then as soon as you get past the drill bit part, there's a tap part. So it's one bit. You just go in one motion. It drills, and then it taps, and then you back out again, and you could chase it, I guess, again, if you wanted to. But it's really cool. I've ordered that set. Actually, it's not here yet. I wish it was. I would have demonstrated it for you. But that's another way to go. But that's how you do it. If you want to drill your plastic, tap the plastic, that's the way to go. All right, get some screws. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to hear about. I'll see if I can cover it on the channel, see if we can make a video about it. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon. Bye.